Hello and welcome back to another episode of the By Design podcast. I am lucky enough to be sitting down with an amazing guest, Rebecca Walters, who I've had the privilege of working with one-on-one. And I can genuinely say Bex is one of the most fun, caring, considerate, determined people I know, and you embody perseverance, Bex. And I'm so grateful to be able to have you here today to speak more into confidence, to speak more into the Confidence Academy, to speak more into your story, and plenty of other fun things that I'm sure we're going to dive into as well. Just for the listeners, Bex has her own podcast titled Unstoppable by Bex, which you can find in the show notes below. Bex also offers one-on-one and group coaching that you can find on her inspirational Instagram at the Confidence Academy, which you can find in the show notes as well. Bex, welcome.
Thank you, Jesse. That was an amazing intro. I'm blushing a little bit, so thank you. And I'm also grateful to be on here with you. You are one of my top 5 humans of all time. The other 4 spaces are for my children. So it's a great honor that you're in my top 5.
That is. I really thought it wasn't that high. Thank you.
I can drop you down a bit if you want.
Yeah, maybe after this interview. We'll see how we go. I'm so excited to talk about the questions I have below. But before we get into it, I'd love to know just a little bit more about you, Bex, about the Confidence Academy and what you're leaning into this year and sharing with the world.
Yeah, so the Confidence Academy, it sort of started from a different avenue, but it's ended up here. And this is my newest baby that's been born, but it comes from a place of going through my own personal life experiences. So domestic violence is a huge passion, well, not a huge passion of mine, but something that I'm passionate about changing. So that's where it stemmed from for me. And I believe that we can give women confidence and educate women, that maybe one day we can break that cycle of domestic violence. And so that's what sort of led into the Confidence Academy being born. So it's giving women to have confidence to set their own boundaries, to show up and be seen, confidence to leave situations that no longer serve them, confidence to create their own businesses or financial wealth and growth. And that's essentially the backstory to how I led to where I am today with the Confidence Academy.
That's amazing. You know, getting to know you more over the years, I've been lucky enough to see how you move beyond your past. It is an integral part of who you are, and it helps you move through life with so much choice, consciousness, but you also don't let it define all of you. You're a coach, you're a writer, you're a mother, you're an inspirational person, you're a speaker.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is about our stories is that they create the people that we are today. So they don't define us moving forward, but they're the reasons that push us into where we are now. So if I didn't have those experiences, the Confidence Academy wouldn't exist. I wouldn't have the knowledge that I have today to be able to share with the world. So I'm grateful for my backstory, but it doesn't define who I am moving forward.
Yeah.
And everyone has the opportunity to change their story. And that's the thing. It's each day we wake up, it's like a blank page that we can write into what we want moving forward as well. We are the main character in our own lives, and what we choose moving forward is up to us, essentially.
When it comes to manifesting what you want and getting clear, how does that relate to confidence for you personally?
So to be able to manifest something properly, for me, it was knowing my worth. That was the core of everything, was knowing my worth. And once I established that worth and having the confidence to say, this is what I'm worth, then that manifestation became even clearer to be able to move forward. Because once I had that confidence to speak up and say, no, this is what I'm worth, this is what I want, this is what I'm entitled to moving forward, helped me get into the energy and emotion to be able to manifest clearer.
And tell me a little bit more about your practical process of manifesting. What sort of habits do you do? What sort of things do you utilize to be able to really get your energy behind something?
I do weird things.
Yep. Tell us about them.
Okay, so this is not so weird, but one of the biggest things that I started doing was putting myself in the energy of the people I wanted to become. So I would literally go sit in Double Bay and I would people watch, and I would tune into their energy, like tuning into a radio station. I would sit there, I would watch the way they walked, I would watch the way they talked, how they dressed, what they ate, what sort of car they drive, and then I would visualize, what sort of house they lived in, what their daily routines looked like as well. Something else that I do, which is a little bit weird to increase my energy and vibration, is I do this visualization of me pulling energy from the earth and from the universe. And I visualize that coming into my body, and then I push it out as a high level frequency back into the universe as well. So that's something else that I do. I'm not so much a journaler as such. I'm more of a thinker, but for me to get things into the universe is to speak it into my existence, because once we speak it into our existence, it also increases that vibration and that frequency as well, because we're adding an emotion behind it. So speaking it into your existence is a huge part of manifesting. And it's more believable once we start saying it out loud. Because if we don't believe it ourselves, then the universe isn't going to believe it either.
Tell me about what you were saying in the car yesterday with your affirmations.
I can't remember what I was saying in the car.
So I was on your Instagram and I read
that's
that
right. I am. That's right. I believe, yeah. So I had a really cool meeting with someone yesterday. You're making me go red now because I totally forgot. And she caught me out saying something. So I said, I'm trying to write a book. And she said, no, you are writing a book. And so then I practiced on the way home saying, I am this, I am that. And the whole way home, I kept saying, I am a writer, I'm a podcaster, I'm a coach, I'm an inspiration, I'm a fucking powerhouse. And so that was me the whole way home. And you might have to censor, sorry.
It's all welcome, because this is the real work. I find that a lot of self-development can just be a lot of talk and books and shelf development. And as a coach, it's my superpower to really make this practical for people in the ways it impacts them, and that is often in the beginning, practicing when you're alone, practicing when you're in the car, practicing in your room, these things like affirmations, like rage releases, cord cutting, inner child meditations, mirror work, you see. And those are the things that really help us transform from within, so that when we go out into the world, we feel that neutral belief and that clear belief, like, I'm a writer, I'm a coach, I'm a podcaster. I'm welcoming in opportunities for them to come across, because I deeply believe it. There's no doubt in my mind that I'm going to meet this person that's going to have a connection that's going to lead to this opportunity, because I'm telling the universe, like, I'm here, I'm ready to receive it.
Yeah, and you're opening the door by speaking it into existence. And I met an incredible person about a year ago, and I told him my story, and he's like, you need to be on TED Talks, you need to write books, you need to do all of these things. So I literally would walk around my lounge room practicing my TED Talks, and I still record myself practicing my TED Talks, because one day I am going to be standing on a stage and speaking to a lot of people and inspiring them. And I'm bringing that into my existence, and I'm opening the door for those connections to come to me. And the how doesn't matter. Doesn't matter how it's going to come to you, because you never know how it's going to come to you. It's by opening up that line of communication, opening that door and letting someone walk through it.
Receiving, right?
Yeah.
Receiving these opportunities and letting grace fill in the gaps. What you just said was so true. And it's one of the hardest things I've had to relearn, is let go of how it's going to happen. Just focus on what it is you want. and let that good feeling of your vision fill up your body, and walk out the door with that on, and let go of how it's going to happen again and again and again. When I manifest, this is so apparent that it'll come, but just not how you expect.
I know, and that's the beauty of it, and having that complete trust in the process. And that's something that after, a few things that have happened in my life made me lose that trust. And that's something that I've really had to rebuild, and is to trust the process, trust that it's coming to you in its right time, but you also need to be that energetic match for it to come into your life as well. So keep doing the inner work, keep putting it out there. You can't just sit back and wait for things to come to you either. You still have to do activities and practices that allow those things to come to you. And it might be, working on your energy, working on your mindset, working on the skills associated with what you need to bring into that existence as well. Yeah.
I feel you. I talk about a lot in my coaching, helping people sharpen their intuition like a knife. But that isn't for its own sake. We use that knife to cut through the bullshit, to set boundaries, to clear things out of our life, right? So I always think the practices that you were mentioning here, that elevate your energy, manifesting, visualization, speaking into these things, are ramps that lead you to a certain state of being that's ready to receive, take aligned action, and step into, or how I like to think about it is, you're being called forward from the universe to be a higher version of yourself. So that takes responsibility and courage. But what is calling you? What's your highest calling? And I think that is our connection to our earthly mission, right? What's your highest calling? When you lay down in your bed at night and think, what's truly calling me, is that call to adventure and responsibility and the unknown and risk and courage, and the hero's journey.
World domination, Jesse. I always say.
Yeah, you can say.
And the lady I met yesterday, she said the same thing when we finished off our meeting. And she's like, I can't wait to see what you go and achieve. And I said, I can't wait as well. And we both at the same time said world domination, and then just lost it because we were just so in with each other. And it was just so funny that world domination is like
so great.
Yeah.
This is what I mean, Bex. Like, you have this amazing ability to spin in fun and joy and lightheartedness into some of the very deep, dark places we've gone in coaching, and the things you share. And, you do it with such a positive attitude. And I just want to acknowledge how strong you are, and I'm so grateful to know you and work with you, because that strength is entwined into everything you do as a mum, as a colleague, as a coach.
Yeah. And the reason why I can have such a positive attitude about those things is because they don't define who I am anymore. They no longer serve me. I've let go of them. They've taught me a lot of things, but they no longer weigh me down. And until we lift that burden, then you really can't transform into who you want to be.
Yeah. I recommend anyone who feels like they've got that burden on them right now with the things that Bex has mentioned to reach out to her on Instagram, book a call with her, find out more about her offers, because she's a real one. She's down to earth. She's fun. She's connected. She's in clear. So I recommend reaching out to her, following her Instagram, checking out her work.
Yeah, and the thing is that everything that I teach, I've lived through myself, and I don't share the full extent of everything that I've been through. But I've been through some shit. I've been through hell and back, and I've come out the other side. And it's so important for people to know that, like, if you're sitting in the pits of hell right now, there is heaven. Like, there is that other side. There is that light at the end of the tunnel, and it may not seem like you're ever going to get there, but you will. And it's so important to know that. And I can say that because I have come out the other side of that. And the other side is truly incredible. So hang tight, you'll get there.
Yeah, and for anyone that's interested in learning more about Beck's deeper story, follow and listen to her podcast, Unstoppable by Bex. I'll put the link in the show notes below and you can check that out. It's a very down-to-earth, vulnerable, real podcast. And I think as conscious people, we're always looking for the other coaches and speakers and inspirations that are actually of the same like-minded energy, values. And I always think conscious people are in a minority. That's why they feel so emotionally distant and misunderstood from the majority of people, which are often their family, their friends, their teachers, their lecturers, maybe even their partner too, because they feel so alone. But just to reaffirm for those listening, you're not alone. You're just not around the right people.
Yeah, that is so true. And it's, you can't always disconnect yourself from your family or your partner. So that can be challenging at times, but you need to look outside your inner circle and expand to the world and try and see yourself through other people's eyes. And then, once you start seeing yourself that way, people around you will start seeing you that way. Maybe not immediately, maybe it'll be over time, but they're so comfortable with the version of who you were that they're uncomfortable with the version of who you're becoming. So just like you're going through that process, it takes them a little bit of an adjustment period as well. So be mindful of that. They've known you for your whole life as who you were. So this new version, you need to reintroduce yourself to them as who you are now.
Thank you for that reminder. It's really refreshing to hear, because I think I can get so lost in growth and progress alone and forget about that the people around me also need to go through their process with my changes.
Yeah, they're unlearning who you are as well and relearning the new version of who you are. Just like we're unlearning our old habits, our old programming, they're unlearning as well. So they're going through their own change without even knowing it.
Anything else that's been on your mind, Bex, around confidence? Anything that's been divine inspiration that you just want to share? Just sort of opening it up to a more free flow right now.
Oh, I could talk for hours and hours and hours about everything. And you know that. But confidence to me is so important. It shapes our whole lives. It's that confidence to say, this is what I'm worth. This is what I want from my relationships. Confidence to set those boundaries. Confidence to show up and be seen. Confidence to share your voice and your thoughts with your world, because your thoughts are such an intimate part of who you are. To share that with the world and become exposed and vulnerable is scary as hell. And having the confidence to do that. And even with my podcast, like, I don't know how to record a podcast, but I'm doing it. And that's the biggest part of the Confidence Academy, is just to show people, and I'm taking them on that journey with me, is that I don't know what the hell I'm doing, but I'm doing it anyway. And the important part is just getting started. And the recording may not be perfect and I don't know how to edit, but I'm doing the action, and it's just going to get better and better over time. But it's embracing that vulnerability, showing up, allowing yourself to be seen and heard, and seeing what comes from it.
What's your relationship with vulnerability and posting online and receiving hate or people that don't understand you, and just in general, what comes with the territory of that?
I can't say I necessarily receive hate.
You have a very conscious perspective on it, don't you?
Yeah, no, because it's how I perceive it as well. Like, I did a video the other day and I had a filter on anyway, so it wasn't even my face. And because sometimes I just like playing around with things, and that's just, how I express myself sometimes. And a man said, "You have the face for radio," and I was like, "Fuck, thank God it's not my face then." Like, it's a filter. Perception is everything. And you know what? And that's probably the only like real negative thing that I've received from people. And then the other day someone said something to me and I can't remember what it was, and I just sent them love. So it's how we receive that hate and what we do with it. And instead of choosing that to hurt me, I sent them love instead, and it cut that conversation off straight away, because that person that is throwing hate at you, the thing that they need more than anything in this world is love from someone, because they're hurting so deep on the inside. So just give them love and move on. That's all you need to do. Don't let it affect you, because it's not your problem, it's theirs. because they're unhealed, they're hurting, and they're projecting that to anyone that will receive it. So just don't receive it. I know that sounds easy, but it does take practice, and it did take a lot of practice for me to get to that place, but just choose not to receive it anymore. Send it off with love. Put a white light around it, move on.
Thank you for sharing that. It's such a good thing to have in the back pocket if someone listening to this is a coach themselves, or trying to be seen and show up online as well. It's just a very useful tactic to be like, oh, if any of those comments come up when I go live or share on TikTok or share in my reels or share wherever, it's not my responsibility. My responsibility is to get out of my own way and let my gift shine. And really, I think as creators, artists, musicians, whoever is, our reward comes from creating. For example, I'm so rewarded right now from this conversation. I feel so grateful and happy to be talking with you. And then once we finish, I'm going to share that with the world. But my reward doesn't come from likes and comments and reshares and reviews. It comes from this process of creating,
Yeah, and other people's opinions are not my business. And I never understood that saying until now, because the only opinion that matters is the one I have of myself. So whatever anyone else is projecting to me is not my business anymore. As long as I value myself, respect myself, and love myself, that's the only opinion that matters. And if you come from that place, and it's not being arrogant or egotistic, it's just having that, self-worth and that self-love, and not letting anyone kill my vibe.
Yeah, and that's such a nice reminder. Thank you for that, because when was the last time you checked in and asked, what do I think of myself? How can I love myself? What's my relationship with myself? And I don't know, sometimes I get overwhelmed with work and stuff going on that I forget to check in. I forget to do the mirror work. I get overwhelmed, and often the first thing to be sacrificed is my self-care. Whereas actually that's the most important thing to be productive and, share your gift, is have the foundation of rest and self-care.
Yeah. And being a full-time mom and working full-time in a very high intensive role at work as well, and then doing this on the side and everything else, that's the most important thing, is the relationship I hold with myself. Am I feeding myself good foods? Am I staying hydrated? Am I resting? Am I doing my Pilates? Am I going for a walk? Because if I'm not doing that for myself, and this is a huge mum guilt thing, is that we put our children first, or we put our partners first, or we put everyone on the outside first, because we're conditioned just to love other people, and that's what we do. And we forget to love ourselves. But I learned the hard way, if I don't love myself wholly first, and I'm not showing up to my children or anyone or work how I need to show up, because I'm not 100% myself. So, it's filling your cup up so much that it just overflows naturally to everyone around you, and fills theirs up as the overflow of the goodness that you're giving to yourself. And it's so important to nourish yourself, especially as a woman and as a mom. I'm not married, but people that are married, it's, obviously you love your husbands and partners and everything too, but you need to love yourself as much as you're loving those around you as well.
Yeah, and take time for yourself, even when you're around those partners and they want to hang out or they want to do this or that, but you really crave and want and need solitude, time to reflect, time to take a bath, and enjoy resting.
I'm naturally a huge loner anyway, and I find this has been difficult in relationships, is that I like to spend a lot of time to myself, and it's not that I'm not loving the other person. I just love being by myself. I love just walking for like 3 hours at a time by myself, and everyone needs that solitude at times. A moment to step away from each other, a moment to step away from your kids. And there's nothing wrong with taking a break from your children. That is something that I had such guilt around sending them to daycare or going to work, because when I first had children, almost 25 years ago, it wasn't a thing. Like, you just had to be at home with your kids. And I was always like, well, no, this is what I need. I need to go to work. I need a break away from them. And women need to understand it's okay to have a break from your children, because you're going to show up better to them once you have that space.
See what I mean, everyone? Like, just a resource of knowledge and experience. So check out Bex's work on Instagram. Check out our podcast, Unstoppable by Bex. All the links are in the show notes below. Thank you so much for this, Bex, because there has been a lot here, and I feel like we're only scraping the surface, which is why I keep referring to your podcast, because there's so much there, you know, and it's just a really great place to speak into specific things that you're sharing here. So I recommend everyone follows you there. What I'm interested in as we wrap up is, what are some practical ways someone could step into more confidence, that you share, that you coach on, that you suggest?
So things that I do for myself is to constantly educate myself. That is so important. Knowledge is everything, and knowledge goes hand in hand with confidence as well. And small acts. So starting off with like little goals that you can tick off that you've achieved, because when you achieve those little goals, it creates more confidence as well. It's being around people that inspire confidence, that are not trying to drag you down. It's exercise, it's routine, it's consistency, it's those small little actions that then elevate you to a higher state. It's taking time to invest in your physical appearance as well, because I know for me, when I look good, I feel good, and when I feel good, I look good. So they go hand in hand as well. When I go out to work, like I'm in my heels, I'm in my power suit, I'm at my fucking boss level, and I go in there to slay. And that's what I'm doing. And people feel that energy as well. So it's not having the guilt around investing in yourself. Like, you are your most important asset. So invest in yourself and put nice clothes on your body, and give yourself permission to do that, and start off with small achievable goals, start ticking those off, and then work up to bigger and bigger and bigger ones. And it's just going to increase that confidence, increase your energy and vibration, and yeah, you're just going to skyrocket.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that, Bex.
Yes, Queen Slay.
I need like a little sticker across your Zoom right now. Is there anything else you want to share before you wrap up, Bex?
Not really. I don't know. Maybe there's a lot that I could share. There's so many avenues that I could go down. I just yeah, it's a never-ending vortex that I could just, dig deep into. But I just want women to know that they are amazing, incredible humans. Like, we create life. So if you don't understand the power that you possess, look at your ability to bring life into this world. And if we can create confident women, they're going to create confident sons. And that is going to be an overflow and break this cycle of what we're seeing in the world going on. And I don't want to bring it back to a negative aspect, but domestic violence is a huge thing. And if we can empower women and elevate them, they're going to then create confident, capable humans. And that is just going to have a follow-on effect into the world. So know your power. You are a powerful person. You bring life.
Thank you so much for your time today, Bex.
Thank you, Jesse. Thank you for having me.